Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Captain Spish Dog Behavior Podcast live stream. I am Captain Spish.
Hey, real quick, are we recording? Because it's not showing recording on my end.
It's not recording, but it's showing. It'll be recording on YouTube.
Okay. All
Sorry,
right.
we're noobs. We're still figuring this out. Make sure
We're
my...
not noobs. It's just technology is a tad awkward sometimes.
It's sometimes ambiguous. It takes experience to know what it's doing and what it's not doing.
Yeah. Like today, it says scheduled. It doesn't say recording. It's very, very odd.
It says it's showtime, in fact.
Okay, well, it says I'm in the show, so I'm going to guess
Nice.
that I'm a part of the show.
I guess so. I expected to see a live chat running. I think that would have to be done with a different app.
Probably.
Hmm.
But, we're not that, advanced yet, I suppose.
I suppose. I can go into YouTube and watch ourselves.
That would be a little weird.
So, anyway, speaking of biting and all that.
Yeah.
So this episode will be about bites. A bite by any other name. Is it still a bite? Can you call it by something else? Really, should there be different definitions of different bites? Because there are definitely different bites that should be taken differently, that mean different
bite,
things.
nip, gnaw, chew.
Well, our society sees that dogs in a manner that they should never bite. Any kind of bite. Put their teeth in a harsh way on a human or another dog for any reason, anytime, anywhere, no matter what, no matter the situation, no context, no nuance. And is that good? Is that true? Should that be done that way?
I mean, honestly, there's love bites. Definitely love bites. But, you never hear anybody complain about cats biting people.
Yeah, you do.
Which is the thought, well, that's the thought that I just had is like, oh my God, this cat just bit me. We got to put it down. You're more likely to hear a dog.
I think it's because cat people in general tend to be a little more private. And so if something like that happens, they kind of just keep it to themselves to some extent. But it does happen. I used to work with cats with behavior as well. I used to work with cats, horses, cows. I'd still be willing to help with those animals, but I specialize with the canine variety.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, back up. Cow behavior?
Yeah, believe it or not. There's cows that didn't want to be milked or didn't want to come in and were semi-aggressive or something being grouchy, and I had to go in and figure out what was going on.
So hold on. You realize you missed out. You could have formed the BBB, the Bovine Behavior Bureau, or Bovine Behavior
It's not that
Business.
common. I mean, it's not a really common issue. It was kind of a few one-off experiences I've had in the last 15 years that I was like, well, sure, I'll come out and see what I can do. And sorry, my fan's blowing around my curtain, so I'm getting these flashes of light every once in a while.
No, you're fine. I apologize to everybody watching at home wanting, about dogs, and here I'm hearing about cow behavior. Just kind of threw me off a little bit.
Well, and that kind of leads me to one of the points I want to make about dog bites, and one that you basically stumbled upon at the right off, that anything with teeth can and will bite, and not all bites are created equal. They're not all meant to be the same. Dogs bite for communication reasons and for correction and self-defense, and it's not technically an inappropriate thing. I think if it's what they go to the quickest and there's better options and they go right to biting, then of course it becomes inappropriate. But most bites that dogs give are meant to be some form of correction or just a reflex to and don't intend harm, but it doesn't mean they don't create harm. The sharpness of their teeth, the tenderness of the person or animal being bit, the intensity of emotion behind it can all make far more damage than a dog intends. And should we care about what a dog intends versus what actually occurs? I think so. I think it's unfair to judge anything based on the outcome more than the intent. I think both have to be considered. But, animals are considered basically property. So if a dog bites, it's defective, dump it, get a new one. It's like it's a bad couch or a car broke down. But they're living, sentient, in my opinion, beings, and they shouldn't just be discarded for that.
Well, I know. I mean, we touched on it briefly when we did the episode about fear, about, snapping reflex and everything else. I mean, that's an example of one of these bites that you're referring to and whatnot. Um, but I mean, give us some examples of some of these. Because I mean, obviously, there's the fearful, back away, fight or flight kind of bite. Um, but what else have we got? What else are we working with here?
Well, obviously, we can go right to what everyone thinks of a bite, as in an intentional aggressive injury. Those are a bit rare, in my opinion. As a professional, when I say a dog is aggressive or tends towards aggression, it means that they see a target or a trigger, like a person or
Mm-hmm.
an animal, and they don't give any real warning. They don't even think twice. They go straight to destroy that object, to hurt it as much as possible. And that is just extremely rare, like exceedingly rare. It's not really in a dog's nature to want to harm, and it's not in a dog's nature to want to harm for the sake of harm. In order for a dog to want to destroy a target or intentionally hurt an animal or person, their world has to be so distorted to think that that's their best option,
Mm-hmm.
that there's no better option. And in fact, when they've tried other options, they've only gotten hurt themselves. So that requires people bull baiting, which would be throwing cats or wild animals on the dog, or getting them around other dogs that have already been conditioned to hurt. And so if they don't defend themselves and go straight to hurting, they will be the ones that get hurt. But that's obviously a distortion of reality in general. But there's dogs that have had bad experiences where they've been hurt every time a person's come out to see them. They've been hurt every time they've seen another dog or any other animal. So in their mind, there's no doubt when I see an animal or a person, especially in certain circumstances or situations, or if I'm surprised, I will get hurt. I better hurt them first. So it
Mm-hmm.
still doesn't stem from there's no such thing as a mean dog or a cruel dog or a malicious dog or a vicious dog. All those things intend like it's anthropomorphizing. It's putting human thoughts onto an animal, saying, well, people hurt because of ego or because if they want power or because it's fun to kill or hurt. And not saying that dogs don't kill because it's fun sometimes too. I mean, it does satisfy that part of their instinct, but not in a situation where they're being defensive, and certainly not when they're going against other predators. If they're going
Right.
something a prey animal, that's different. And sometimes there's a fuzzy line. Everything in science is we see things, we see patterns, and we draw a box around it and say this is this. But in nature, there are no boxes, there are no lines. Everything is a gradient. So a cat is both prey to a dog and it can also be a predator to a dog. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes cats are a big trigger for dogs because they are both simultaneously. It's small and it's fast moving, so its instincts say chase it, catch it, and it has claws and teeth and is aggressive and and intense. So it's a predator too. So it's not only a threat, but it's also prey. So push it towards being prey and treat it like prey. And so they use their prey instinct to defend themselves against cats and other types of dogs. Here, let me take care of this real quick.
You get the bright flashes.
Yeah, I just push one of my microphone stands against them. Just every once in a while, there's a gust of wind and pushes the curtain open, and the sun's gonna start coming in there. But anyway,
That's all right. I feel like at some point I'm gonna need to get something from my screen here so that you don't see my it reflected in my glasses or something.
hi, see myself.
You
Yeah,
know.
so
And then if I line my glasses up right, you get the ring of the camera. So then
yeah.
it makes it look like I got
Oh
glowing
yeah,
eyes.
my camera ring doesn't work. I have to have this other one. But anyway, um, so yeah, so that's how you should really take even the worst quotations kind of bite from a dog is it's still not with just intent to harm and for it's willy nilly or egotistical. It's still stems from some form of past hurt and fear of that hurt coming into reality in the now. And I mean, who wouldn't, if they know in their mind that they're going to get hurt, who
Hmm.
wouldn't just straight up hurt back first? It's self defense. It
Well,
just
I
doesn't
mean,
look like that to innocent people. And the problem is, everyone involved in most bite situations are innocent. People miss cues. People are unintentionally a trigger without just because being them, just for being there.
hmm
People allow dogs to roam neighborhoods free and loose, so they mark territory, and so all those houses are theirs in the dog's mind.
Mm-hmm.
So a bite is appropriate sometimes to defend territory, even if a person's on their own property. In the dog's mind, it's theirs because they peed there. So it's everyone's a victim. The guilty party in that particular scenario would be the people allowing the dog run free.
Right. But again, you said this is something that you at least see as a rare occurrence. I mean, do you get a lot of calls about stuff like this?
I get a lot of calls with people thinking their dog is like this,
Hmm.
and almost never is it the case. Fortunately, for everyone involved.
Well, that's good. I mean, is it more often than not? Is it a certain kind of bite that it actually really is, or that's misinterpreted as one of these harsher lashing out?
Mm, most bites occur because of people moving abruptly when a dog feels cornered, or people moving abruptly when the dog is being possessive of an object like a toy or food item. Um, those are still not aggressive bites. They're communicative. The problem is when dogs communicate to each other, their skin and their fur is designed in a way that kind of cushions them against real injury. And if they do that to us humans, who are hairless apes with bare skin, uh, most
I
of
got
us
lots
don't.
of skin.
Yeah, most of us don't have thick enough skin to take correction from dogs, so they wind up hard, or their teeth hook our skin in a way where if we had fur, it wouldn't be able to hook into
Hmm.
the skin. So they wind up causing more injury than they intend.
Well, certain they cause energy when that happens too, because you're definitely
Mm-hmm.
not just going to sit there and let it happen. You're going to jerk back and everything else.
See, and that's a good point too. So a bite may start out with a certain intent, and then how the bitee responds to the biter
Hmm.
can affect and change the trajectory of that bite and the intention behind it. So if a dog bites at you and you become scared and or defensive, like you become, oh, I'll fight you back, then you
Hmm.
switch a correction to defense, and the dog then gets weird, and then you get more afraid, and you're both ready to fight each other, and it takes two to tango. So if you want to fight your dog back, which is just ridiculous, but it happens. It's instinct to fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. That's what we talked about in the fear episode. I haven't released yet, um, but if you allow that to be triggered in you and you just follow that instinct too, both you and the dog are in the same instinct, and no one knows the way out. So the
Hmm.
logical progression is one of you is going to lose or cave, and it's probably going to be the human. We're not tearing the dog up with our teeth or knives, hopefully,
No, but
but
I
we
mean,
are.
I'm sure there's some people out there who get bit and the first thing they do is just start going in for the beat down and whatnot.
Yeah, to me, that's the egotistical part of humans. Oh, how dare you? You're the dog. Um, I don't care why. I just am mad you hurt me and scared.
Hmm.
Anger is always a secondary emotion to fear of some type, insecurity or fear. The more angry someone is, the more hurt they were, and the more weak they feel, and the more they're worried about it happening again, the more likely they'll be angry.
Right.
So to me, us humans have a responsibility and a unique ability to have instincts scream at us to be afraid and to fight, to flight, to freeze, to fawn. And we have the ability and responsibility to halt that and make a choice consciously for the
Hmm.
sake of what's happening. And if you can't do that, then you probably should think twice about owning a dog. And you certainly should think twice about continuing to own a dog that may put you into that state without you exercising some form of emotional discipline.
Hmm.
So that's something to look out for too. So when dogs bite me on consultations, which is very rare, also because I take precautions to avoid that, um, how I respond, how I feel, they'd feel that through the touch, through their mouth touching you, biting you, and they can feel how tense you are, what your intentions are in that moment. And when dogs bite me, I don't have an intention of running from them nor attacking them. Sometimes I'll just kind of push my arm into their mouth further, or my hand, to keep them from shredding and tearing at me. Sometimes I'll even hold
Hmm.
their head on to buy a little bit of time to give the dog a chance to think about what's going on, and for me too as well, and to calm down.
Right.
And then they'll stop and back off and think twice. Even sometimes become terrified more, because biting is the trump card. It's the big thing they can do to anything they see as a threat. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of dogs have learned, well, from starting with correction biting, that it gets people to back off and leave them alone. And then they expand that to other reasons. So anytime they want something, they just want to do something instead that the human wants them to not do, they learn that biting and nipping is a way to get the people to leave them alone. And so when they realize that doesn't work, or if they're afraid and that's why they bit, and that doesn't work, it doesn't make the person go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which they know how to deal with those reactions, but they don't know how to deal with a rational response. Oh, well, I'll hold you on, I'll calm down, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to listen to what instincts say. I know you're not cruel, mean, or intending harm. This is the way you learn to communicate, and I'm going to teach you it doesn't work. And that's the intention going behind working with dogs that bite. You have to think, you have to be communicative, not just reactive. They're already reactive enough for everybody. They don't need humans involved with thumbs and brains following into that same trap.
Well, I'd have to say all humans have thumbs, not all humans have brains.
Not all humans have thumbs. Some people born without them, and some people cut them off,
Uh,
accidentally and otherwise.
I was trying to sound philosophical there, and you just cut it off. But you know what? That's fine.
Nuance.
That's fine. No offense to anybody out there who was born without thumbs. If you were, I apologize.
You
That was
thumbless
very
people.
stereotypical of me and presumptuous.
Showing off here.
Yeah. So, all right. So you've kind of gone into two different kinds of biting here, kind of the corrective and then the, I guess you would call that aggressive.
The aggressive, the intent to harm bite, the corrective non-intent to harm but may cause incidental harm. So corrective bites can be backed up with a lot of emotional energy, like extreme frustration or anxiety. And so that can cause the muscles to twitch stronger than the dog intends. And just like anytime you're frustrated, you kind of clench. So you can wind up putting more force into something than you intend. So in other words, there should be a lot of grace and forgiveness that dogs definitely deserve, that some people just don't give because of their ego or their fear, kind of takes over. And they want to make assumptions. People always love to make assumptions when they're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Assumptions are internal and they can't be challenged. So it's easier just to make an assumption, think you're right, and just go with a choice rather than realize there's a lot of nuance, which is kind of what I've been steering us back to. There's so many details, even amongst certain classifications of bites. And of course, there's love bites, like you mentioned earlier, from dogs as well, where they can. I've had blood drawn from dogs that are simply just love mouth playing with hands, which is borderline not great. Like, I think it's a good trust exercise for the dog to do with the people and vice versa. But if a dog is already very mouthy and wants to correct and has other forms of bites associated, I wouldn't play with that particular dog with my hands. I would have them go get a toy to interface with me, especially a soft toy or a tug toy, like a rope or one of those tough toys that are multi-stitched around the edges and colorful, that have the tigers that advertise them, because they're tough enough to handle tigers. So it's something to interface, so make them stop and go find something. So with all my bull terriers, I've had to teach them because they love the chomp and bite to play. And they get so frustrated and emotional and feelings get flowing. And they start chomping really hard and shredding and not wanting to let go and grabbing hair and ears and anything hanging off of you. And so when, like I think I told this story before, when Trish first moved in with me, she played with Hero that my logo's made after. And she got him real riled up, and he was getting really excited. And I see it in his eyes. He's like, ugh. And he stops, and he starts looking around the room and looking up at walls, because he knew I would have shelves with toys and things on them. And so he's looking for a toy, and Trish was a little confused, like, what just happened? And I was like,
I just dumbed your dog. What happened?
It's like he's looking for a toy, because I teach all my bull terrier puppies at a certain point where you get real excited. You need to stop and look for a toy, because you can't play with me any other way. You have to interface me with a tug toy or a ball or something. But this certain X amount of energy needs to be directed to a toy. It can't be put into me at that point. And you just teach them through consistency. Hey, stop. Let's go find a toy. You go show them by example. You stop. You stop them. You put them on leash if you have to, and go find, like, where's the toy? Look for it. Teach them how to look for it. It's over here in the toy box, or it's in the other room, or check corners. And you get the toy and you show them how to play with you. And if they won't play with that toy with you, you just end the game. So they learn, well, if I want to play with them, I have to play the way they say. And it just takes a lot of work. To me, it's just first nature puppy play kind of thing I teach all my puppies. And I've had to teach a lot of clients that with their dogs as adults. Like, oh, they should learn this when they're much smaller. It's going to be harder. But they need to learn to play in certain appropriate ways. And appropriate is, of course, subjective based on the dog, the breed, and the individuals involved and lifestyle and stuff like that.
Well, I imagine with different breeds, they have more tendency to mouth play than they would with others.
Oh yeah, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, anything with lots of muscle in their jaw and their head, they're kind of compelled to chew and chomp, and they love to do that for interface and affection. And really, for my next puppy, I want him to stay with his puppy mates and the mom as long as possible. 8 weeks is not long enough. 2 months is not long enough for a puppy to learn and remember what it feels like to be bit and what happens if you get bit. Because I'd rather, as a human, not have to teach my puppy that stuff.
I mean, you would like, but sometimes you kind of have to.
Well, most good breeders, and there's very few of those, would be happy to do that and understand that and start raising them. So when my mom used to raise pit bull terriers, we used to insist on keeping them until they're about 5 months old, maybe 6. And we would have them all together, and they would be out, and we would teach them and interface with them along with their mother, and reinforce what the mother and other puppy mates would say. Hey, if you bite too hard and he gets pissed, this is what you do. You back off. You quit. And the other one, chill out. Don't be so pissed. And and so we'd interface with the puppies, and good breeders will do that. And all the puppies before they went home knew come, sit, and stay. They'd all come for their food. All their little butts, all 10 of them usually, bloop, on the ground, and they would wait until we tell them they can have their food. So they get really good basics of understanding how to be trained and the good consequences of listening to training before they even go to their homes. And they have that social interaction, that stability of not being traumatized by being taken away from their mom too young and from their puppy mates. And there's just so much psychological advantage to that. So, yeah, dogs sometimes forget what it feels like to be bit when they're taken from their puppy mates at 8 weeks old.
I mean, you could always just bite them back, but that might be a little awkward.
Sometimes I do, of course, not as hard as they bite me, but, just to get them an idea, like, that doesn't feel good. And sometimes I use my fingers to give them pretend bites and little pinchies. And they're like, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, it doesn't feel great, does it, pupper? But I still prefer them to learn from other dogs and be reinforced from the humans involved. Hey, biting kind of sucks, and it should be only gentle and friendly in certain situations. And yeah, but,
understandable.
So we covered aggression biting. We talked about corrective biting, which is the biggest, most common one. And I think a defensive biting is separate from aggression because, like I said, aggression is I see a target in experience. I've always been hurt. I'm just going to destroy it. My intent is to harm it badly until it's incapacitated or dead.
Well, I think the defensive biting probably fits into what we talked about in the fear episode as a fear response. You get too close, you bite them to warn them to back off and everything else, but you're not going to keep pursuing the quote unquote attack.
Yeah, you have to start thinking, what could the dog perceive as an attack? And your approach sometimes is enough. If they're already warning you back off and you approach, then you corner them, so to speak, and sometimes literally. Paying attention to how the dog perceives the environment can really help prevent bites. I just went on a consultation just this week with an old client who was getting older, this 11-year-old what is it? Is that a Shar? Yes, 11-year-old Shar-Pei, sweet boy, named Bentley. He's going blind in one eye, so he's having vision issues, so he's getting a little nippier. That's something you consider. When dogs get older, their personality shifts. They feel less secure in their home. We talked about in the fear episode as well, which will be coming up. And they have vision issues that makes it worse. So when I went in there to visit him, she had a baby gate up to give him a chance to recognize me. And there was doors to either side of the hallway, and I was in the middle of this narrow hallway that opens up about 10 feet behind me. So I turn sideways so he can see the exit past the hallway, so he can feel as if he can get past me. I'm not trapping him. But I
Right.
also was making sure I wasn't standing in one of those other two doorways, so he also feels as if those two doorways are an exit as well. So if a dog feels they have options and they're not being cornered or trapped in a tunnel, and you're not taking up their whole vision by standing dead center of that hallway, you give them more
Right.
field of vision, they're going to feel less likely to need to bite or to run away from you.
Mm.
So paying attention to that detail is something that a lot of people miss. They don't see it from the dog's perspective, and that's how we talk to dogs, is showing our intention through what we're paying attention to and how we're manipulating our angles and ourselves in an environment to give them the message of, I'm not here to trap you, take up all your space, and I'm here to interact with you in this environment. And it's kind of difficult to get across to some people.
So you kind of resorts to you thinking more strategically as
Hmm.
far as engaging a dog.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of folks, myself included, don't really take the environment into consideration when approaching a dog or trying to understand a dog that might have issues or anything like that. I mean, that's something I never really thought about.
Dogs are highly strategic. They understand when they're. Dogs often will come into a space when they're meeting me and choose an area of the room where they can see all the exits, and feel like they have options. And sometimes when a dog is introduced to me, I come and stand in that space too, so they know that I also can see that there's exits. I'm not cornering myself, and that shows that I'm not afraid. That I'm putting myself in a strong position.
Hmm.
Shows I'm not afraid, but I'm capable if I have to defend myself in a way. But I'm also giving myself options so I don't get forced into defending myself. Just by standing in an area of like a kitchen or so, that I can get around the island or make multiple exits or go into the adjacent room. And it also makes it so when they enter from any direction, they'll see me. So I'm not going to
Hmm.
surprise them. I'm not hiding around a corner. Things like that you have to pay attention to. So I'm communicating that I'm taking a strong position, so I'm strong, but I'm in a position where I have options, and I'm not here to threaten you. I'm not here to hide from you. I'm not here to corner myself into an area. I'm giving myself all the options, so you have all the options.
Right. Kind of meeting the dog on their own terms so that you can better communicate with them.
Yeah, that's the only option. That's the whole point of me being there, is to communicate with the dog effectively. So they have a visitor that may be the first and hopefully not only visitor that
Hmm.
truly is there for them, and also the people. People are easy though. Use words, use facial expressions.
Not
But
always works, but yeah, for the most part.
well, there's no guaranteed way of communicating with anything. Even if you're the same species and use the same language, the nuances of your body language and your inflection, your tone,
Pardon me.
your facial expressions, your word usage, because they may have definitions, but not everyone, in fact almost nobody uses definitions of words. They use the connotation, which is a subjective
Hmm.
personal idea of what that word means, which could be skewed based on their experience of,
Right.
oh, when people have used that word with me before, they were condescending or insulting or haughty or all kinds of things. People are very emotional, and so are dogs, and we base choices and how we perceive each other based on previous experiences. And I do my best to battle that and not use that primarily. I may use it as a cue. Hey, in the past, people have treated me this way using this word, but let's see
Hmm.
what this person means by it. So you have that readiness in case you need to protect yourself or defend a position. But you're also not bringing that past into the present and making it true now. You're
Right.
seeing what that person in the situation means now. And to me, that's being respectful of yourself and your past and learning from it by also being respectful of the individual that's standing before you. And so when I go work with dogs like Bentley, I've worked with him for a couple years where you go out in the pack until he had Shar-Pei fever flare up. So he couldn't go with the pack anymore. He'd get too excited and he'd get skin freak out, and it's really bad. It's
Ooh.
a really bad inflammatory problem. but he still loved
It's something
me.
that specifically happens with that breed.
Yeah, it can. It's something to do with the way their immune system and their follicles of their hair are.
Hmm.
But he associated with me that I was affection, I was respect, I was understanding, and I was fun. I represented the other dog friends and stuff like that. So even after all these years, which I literally haven't, he hasn't been in the pack since 2016, and I
Ooh.
haven't seen him since 2019, maybe 2020, somewhere around there. Not many years, 3+ years.
Mhm.
He still remembered me. But even when I used to pick him up once a week, every time I went into his home with him, I knew how he was, that he could be defensive and scared, that I still read Bentley second by second, moment by moment, no matter how he had treated me yesterday or he treated me 5 minutes ago. I'm always reading his body language to see if now he feels threatened. How does he think about where I'm positioned now, or if he's in his crate or about to go in his crate or coming out of his crate or coming out of that room or coming out of the house or going into any of
Mhm.
these. All those are going to be a change of conversation and meaning and thought, and to be aware of how the dog could perceive it and then adapt based on that and be respectful. Oh, this scares you? I'll just wait, or I'll back off and let you
Mhm.
calm down. See that I read you. You can tell me you're scared. It doesn't make me scared. It just makes me understand and try to adapt to reduce your fear. That's my message. That's my point, is to listen, to pay attention, and respect your feelings and make it less pertinent and less needed. You don't need to feel that way. I'll show you, because I won't make you more scared. Um, but dogs like him and dogs like, what's his name? Zeus, a big white American Bulldog I worked with. He literally ripped the sleeve off of one of my shirts trying to get me on the first consultation.
Oh wow.
Previous behavioralist told him to put the dog down, but he became my
Mhm.
best friend. But even after picking him up years later, because of his tendencies to be defensive and fearful, I still read him moment by moment when I came to pick him up. I didn't take for granted our relationship and how he treated me in the past. That's the past. This is now,
Right.
and that keeps me safe and keeps the dog safe and preserves our trust and respect in our relationship. And some dogs, even you as the owner, should do that for them. Maybe even not just for your own relationship, but when other people that visit come over, you should still read your dog and see how they feel that day and feel with that person and how that person's feelings deal with that dog. And that's a good way to prevent bites, is to preemptively understand what's going on in the conversation, the attitude, and the body language, and interfere or redirect.
Okay. Okay. So you bring up this dog Zeus that tore the sleeve off of your shirt
Yeah,
here.
he
So
lunged and barely got me. I moved just in time. He got the sleeve and it just disappeared because
so
it was like,
okay.
and it was like snap. I'm like, whoa.
So this kind of fits into the whole biting scheme and whatnot. So you're brought in on this consultation.
Hmm.
You run into this big white American bulldog. He rips off your sleeve. I mean, what's going through your mind? What are you trying to establish? How did this case go? I guess.
Well, they called me um, great people. They're still clients of mine, even though Zeus is past now. He's been gone 2, 3 years, maybe 4. They have a new dog named Apollo. He's a goofy puppy boxer.
So they got
He's
like a whole god thing going on there.
Yeah,
Zeus,
apparently Zeus
Apollo.
Apollo. I don't remember if they named Zeus. I know they got Zeus from a young lady or two, a couple of young ladies
Mhm.
that had him as a younger puppy, and he was starting to be defensive then, and he just got worse from there. So they called me saying, "We just had this other person, X positive dog behavior, blah 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 person, come out and." She said that we have to put this dog down, and I really don't want to. And I heard that you're the last chance sometimes, that you give
Mhm.
some dogs a new lease on, being able to live and keep their homes. And I was like, yeah, sometimes. I mean, depending on the dog and yourself and your bravery level and how much you can listen and understand. And so we'll try it out. So I came over. They told me a story about the previous person that had been there, behaviorist in quotations, that she came in there and sat in the corner of their kitchen, which was already kind of a pocket. It was a really small home, so she literally sat in the corner of of their dining room, actually, pardon me, and hiding basically in the corner behind their big giant, what is that, table? Yeah, table. I forget human word. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't live there, so.
Yeah, it was a big black table. She sat in the corner, hiding basically from this dog. She was scared of him from what she heard. So her body language, remember what I just mentioned, her body
Yeah,
language, she put herself in a disadvantage, a place broadcasting to this already scared dog that she's also scared and hiding and cornering herself and reducing her options. So it
that,
really triggered him.
that sounds like the total opposite of what you would go in there doing. Like, if you're going to be afraid of the dog, why would you even try to go in there and try to
Uh,
defuse the situation?
well, unfortunately, a lot of people in this business don't really understand or embrace the core reason of their existence, the why they're there. And my core existence of why I'm there is to make sure, first and foremost, I get a message across. And the message is, I will listen and understand you and respect your feelings. I will keep myself as safe as possible, but not at the sacrifice of your safety as the
Mm.
dog. And there's a fine knife's edge balance there. And I'll make sure that my feelings inside, I will never lie about how I feel. I will never tell a dog in any way, shape, or form that I'm not scared if I am. But there's always a but. I may be
Mm-hmm.
scared, but I don't need to do what fear demands I do. I can override that with a conscious message of, no matter how scared you make me, I'm still not going to hurt you and run from you or hide from you. I'll take whatever you're going to dish out, show you I can
Mm-hmm.
override that, and then share that strength with you, that logical thought. Um, but a lot of people come in thinking, oh, I need to trigger the dog and bring out the worst so I can see what's going on. That's almost never the case. That's the
Mm-hmm.
last thing I want to do. They're triggered plenty. They're triggered so much that people have called you in. You're going to pay a lot of money for you to be there because that dog has a problem. I don't need to create another problem. That dog's practiced that enough. I want him to practice with me at least that I'm going to be the
Mm-hmm.
best case scenario visitor that will trigger them as little as possible in a bad way and show them the way out. Or at least show them that not all visitors can be pushed into this fear reaction. So she went in there and did the opposite. She went in and started out in a fear posturing of hiding and cornering, then got more scared, and she showed up, I guess, in a dirty sweatshirt and pants, no logos, no professionalism, nothing, just
Mm-hmm.
like a person off the street. He said that her hair was like disheveled and not combed, and she sounded like a crazy, weird person.
Are they sure they just didn't hire a random homeless person to do this? I mean,
No, she was based out in Beaver Creek and
mm,
supposedly had a good reputation, but all she was a trainer that claimed she can do behavior work. And even though a person could do both, it to me behavior work is so nuanced and important and different from training, but also kind of overlaps at a certain point that you need a specialist.
right,
We talked before about, dentists and heart surgeons are both doctors and specialists and great at their field, but I wouldn't want a heart surgeon to do my fillings or oral surgery anymore, and I'd want a dentist doing my heart surgery.
right,
Those people are specialized for a reason. Those have lots of nuance and detail and take years of your life to practice and to master, and both deserve respect and to not have one step on the other's toes.
mm-hmm.
So if there's someone that does obedience training but they also say they do behavior work, run. You want someone that does only one but understands the other and can interlace where it needs to be and then know when to refer you to the other. So a trainer can say, "Hey, I can teach them these reactions and behaviors, so you can then use those as tools to work with behavior work. But you need to go to a behavior specialist for them to then use those tools." And I'd prefer, in fact, I think behavior is the foundation. So in my opinion, you should start with a behaviorist and create a stable dog and stable mind and stable relationship and establish a means of communication, a style of communication. It doesn't have to be my style. It can start with that. But everyone's going to be a little different. Every dog's going to be a little different. It's okay. They need to adapt it. And then on that stable foundation of relationship, trust, and understanding, you can then put in the functional parts, the come, sit, stay, roll over, play dead, anything you want, which I fully
Right.
encourage you train your dog, the more you interact with them, the more tools and things you can redirect them to if they're scared or have a problem or don't know how to listen to you otherwise. Oh, I know that trick. I'm going to do that now because when I do that, I get rewards. You're happy. Everyone's stable. No one's ever hurt me when I've done roll over and play dead.
Right, right.
But yeah, so that woman came in and triggered the very thing she should have been in there to start unraveling.
Hmm.
It's not just your job to just go in and observe. As an observer, you change the behavior of what you're observing, and you have to be aware of that. So even though I come into situations knowing this dog has bitten people, tried to bite people, is very reactive, scared of other behaviors, soft as they've been told by vets and behavioralists to put the dog down, I could be in great danger, but I'm not going to bring that in with me. Like I said earlier, about I know what could happen, what has happened, so I would be a fool to ignore that. But I'd also be a fool to come in and accidentally or otherwise make it reality now. What can we do
Hmm.
to, where can we turn off on this road towards destruction and reduce damage and start the direction back out of this black forest of fear? Um, and that's kind of my approach. That's what I try to do for dogs that are scared and reactive. And Zeus lived a long, healthy, happy life. He had a little girl. Eventually, they had a little girl. They loved each other. He was sweet and gentle with them.
Hmm.
He got to know my wife. He kind of tried to murder her at first, but she didn't know it. When I was dating Trish, he jumped up at her and like chest bumped her, and I pulled him back just in time. But if I warned people in advance, because he was very sensitive, if I warned people in advance, this dog could bite you, you want to avoid him, and then their body language would show avoidance, and then he was
Right.
guaranteed to try to bite them. But if they were blissfully unaware and he does that testing and lunging thing, and I just correct them, and they're like, "Oh, what was that?" Then I artificially create a confident person in Zeus's mind. Um, and that's always kind of my debate in my mind when I introduce a aggressive dog like him to a lay person. It's like, do I warn them? Should I not? How much should I warn them? How much is that warning going to make a guarantee of a risk, and how much of a risk is it if I don't warn them? And
I see it there.
yeah,
I understand what you're saying. Maybe I should rephrase and say that.
yeah.
But so when you came in, what exactly did you do after he ripped one of your
Well,
super expensive uniforms and what?
fortunately, fortunately, it wasn't one of these nice uniforms. It was when I was still kind of buying T-shirts with a bulldog on the front with my business name on them.
Hmm.
I wanted to get away from T-shirts, but since I did like a lot of work with dogs and got dirty and stuff, I don't think anyone cared that I wore a T-shirt. But that's why the sleeve came off easier. I kind of concerned if a dog would do that to one of these. It's so strong that he'd just pull me in and then bite me. So the fact the T-shirt just went foop and disappeared, I was like, "Ooh, okay." That was near the end of the consultation when we were attempting. So he was on a leash with being held by his dad, and
Hmm.
we were attempting to see how close he can get to me and be cool. And I told him, I was like, no matter what happens here, I can work with him and eventually have a relationship with him. Because part of my job when there's an aggressive dog like this is to do all the mundane things I can for them. So I try to build a relationship of trust with that dog. So even if they don't change with most strangers, which they probably will at least to some extent, make them more manageable, predictable, and so on, that I can give them nail trims, I can give them baths, I can board them, so that people can
Hmm.
do normal stuff with a dog that otherwise it would be too dangerous from them to send to a regular boarding kennel or a groomer to get trimmed, or they can't physically wash the dog because it's so big, and they can't take it to some regular groomer that's busy and loud, and they have to do a bunch of other dogs. They can send them to me where all I have to do is focus and take time and do it right and do it less traumatically and get a simple job done, like giving a dog a bath or nail trim or walk
Yeah.
them. That's what pack therapy is for too, is to get them out, have dog friends, see the world, and be as safe as possible so they can still see the world and be a dog without the risk of them hurting the general public.
So when you returned for a second consultation with Zeus and whatnot, was there still that same kind of? I mean, did he still try to bite again, or?
Well, we did that consultation, and that was the only real consultation. And then he's wanted to join the pack, so I was like, okay, we'll bring him out to where I lived, which was this apartment at the time, and
Mhm.
you start walking along our little access road, and I'll come out and walk along next to you, and we'll wait for him to calm down, and you transfer the leash over to me, and we'll deal with it. And that's how I started a relationship with him. Is this dog that just literally a few days before tried to rip my arm off and only got my sleeve, is now being walked by me. And I could just gently correct him and interface with him. And when he was away from his family, he was a little less reactive as well. Because part of it was protecting them and also using them as a defensible position. So when he's separate from them, has less motivation and less safety to be reactive. And so I kind of use that to my advantage.
That kind of like when you take somebody's kid to watch them, the kid acts fine, but then when they go back to their parents, they're a little hellion.
I wouldn't know. I don't have kids. Is that what happens with them?
Sometimes.
Huh.
I know when I watch my girlfriend's kids, like they usually are just totally fine for me. And then like the moment that their mom walks in the door, it's like, I want food, I want this. Like, kid, you were fine like for 3 hours before they got here. What the hell happened? Like,
well, kids operate, and so do we as adults, even on conditioning. And if they're conditioned to know they can throw a fit or temper tantrum or request something and they'll get it, they'll do it.
oh, well, they definitely don't get it, but it's still just like they do that anyway. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. We'll just tell you no again.
They could also be pure classical conditioning where the kid associates your wife or your girlfriend or the mom with food because she's the one that usually feeds them and you don't, just because of the irregularity. It doesn't mean
I definitely feed them.
Yeah, but you feed them when they visit with you, which isn't all the time.
Right.
She feeds them breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week. So the association with her and food is going to be stronger, in my opinion. Don't you think she feeds them more than you do?
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, they're children. I would hope everybody feeds their kids more than a babysitter or somebody else would.
Well, you're not a babysitter.
But I make sure they eat when I'm around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I keep them taken care of.
Sufficiently fed. They're not just wasting away.
Sufficiently and adequately entertained. I mean, I don't have to worry about bites. I mean, that's always a good thing. I'd be a little
Some
more
kids you do. I guess it's good yours don't.
Oh, no. My daughter actually got in trouble for trying to bite. Just the other day, she actually got grounded.
Did the other kid or person deserve the bite? Because
well, I don't know. He was my son, so
probably.
I don't know. But yeah, she went to do it just because they were playing around and he upset her, and she just went to do it, and it was like, oh hell no.
She's like,
yeah, she's cut it out since then.
You look delicious.
Don't say that to my son. He talks about cannibalism a little more frequently than I'd like to admit. But
nah, that's not.
I just did it.
We can save that for a bonus podcast on our Patreon. I think that's what we're gonna do. Start doing so on the Patreon, which I haven't done anything with yet, but we will. Is maybe for us to record little bonus episodes, even if they're just 20, 30 minutes. Of I whatever we want to talk about, just to get to know us a little bit more.
I still want to do one. I still want to do one of your reaction to dogs in cinema, like just show you a little clip of a dog from a movie, and then like have you do your behavioral take on it.
Yeah, Trish gets that all the time. I'm like, a dog wouldn't do that. What's the reason for this? Why would you let your dog do that? No.
Well. Yeah, well, depending on the movie, then it's like, well, first problem is the dog is about 30 feet tall, and that's the first issue that we're having.
I think I would adapt to the in-universe situation. Like if it's Clifford, I'll be like, yeah, imagine if you had a dog that got this big, and the question is, would you know it was going to get that big, and if so, you better start planning on really intense, all day, as much time as you can get training on them to be gentle. What that means, watch out where you're stepping, start creating cues about where they should put their feet and when and what to watch out for. I had to teach my hero how to be gentle with this little chihuahua that my sister got. Belle only got up to like 5 pounds. She was teacup. She was so small. She was literally like nose to butt that long. Let me get in the screen. Like, there you go. She was about 7 to 8 inches long and only about to the top of her head. About the same.
What kind of breed was she?
She was a Chihuahua. She had a little apple head. Yeah, she was a cute thing. She was so sweet. She was so brave, though. And that was because she had Hero, my big 60-pound bull terrier, was her friend. And I taught him the word gentle, which means don't smash and use your paws on this dog. If you're sitting down and tell you watch out, it means look where you're sitting, or don't sit yet. Watch where you're sitting, so don't sit on the Chihuahua. And when playing with her, playing tug, I tell him gentle, which means slow your roll. Don't yank so hard. Let her pull on you. Just so. And Hero was smart enough to learn that way. Some dogs need other ways, but if you're going to have a dog, that's going to be 4 stories tall, you definitely need to teach him such things. So, this is what this girl. What is Emily? Is her name? Is that
Yeah.
Clifford's? I don't know how and why I remembered that suddenly, but yeah. So she should be definitely teaching that dog about watch yourself and where you're putting yourself and how much force and energy you're putting into
Hmm.
things when he's small. Because I think he wasn't. Didn't he start out like as a
He
runt?
he started off
He was
as a
like the
puppy,
smallest. What
and
he
then overnight grew into a giant monstrosity of unspeakable terror.
if I
And
if I remember correctly, he was the smallest puppy of the litter, and supposedly she loved him so much her love like mutated him and he got huge.
yeah, basically. Look,
So
I'm just gonna say this: the movie had no right to be as good as it was.
I haven't seen it, believe it or not. So it'd be a raw reaction if we did that.
I did because of my daughter, and she
Exactly.
loved it. And then even my son was like, "Wow, this was like good."
I wasn't a
And
fan
even
even as a kid of the books or anything else, but
I wasn't either at all. But I'm like, I'll watch the movie with my daughter. It premiered, like, let's watch it. And then me
I
and my
would have
son
if
are
I had a
laughing
kid
our
for
butts
sure.
off.
Well, and that's the thing. Even as a kid, I didn't like playing with toys that weren't of the same scale. So I
Hmm.
absolutely got so mad if my sisters wanted me to play with my Hot Wheels with their Barbies. I was like,
That makes
cars
no sense.
aren't this big to me.
It's like roller skates.
Why would I play with this car when it's a person this big? And I used to get upset with my toys if they weren't proportioned right. I was like, it doesn't look like the real thing. Like, it doesn't look like the Enterprise or, Optimus Prime or anything. It's just he's weird and stumpy and his feet are too big. And so I used to get weird about that. And then Clifford used to piss me off because like dogs don't get that big. Why would I read this book? This makes no sense. So I guess a pedantic child when I grew up.
Ah, it's all right. It happens. It
But
happens.
yeah, so not all dogs, not all bites are created equal, and
Mhm.
they don't all mean the same thing, and they shouldn't all be taken the same way. And I think at least we'll leave it with this unless you think of something else. A lot of people have this rule in their head, especially people of certain cultural persuasions, that if that dog bites me, or especially if that dog bites my kid in any way, it's out of here or dump it.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you how many consultations I got on when a kid has been corrective nipped. Um, like he was reaching into the kennel because the dog didn't want to come out, and it's because the dog was scared of possible fireworks outside or something. And they're reaching in trying to encourage the dog to get out, and it got like, oh no, get away! It's scared. I want to go out.
Right.
And the tooth hooked the child. It was totally accidental. I go in and evaluate the dog. It's sweet. It's funny. I mean, it doesn't know his own strength. He doesn't gauge that because he's still young. He's a
Hmm.
bully breed, like some pit bull. So they're really concerned because they know he's powerful, but they have experience with pit bulls. They knew, you know, they're generally sweet and friendly and not intending harm. But the husband, we had to work with him a little bit because he was like, she told me that her husband's like, well, he's bit, he's out. Like, can you get rid of him? You can have a dog biting kids. Well, if it was a bite that was a type of bite that would continue, like that dog knows to bite and it wants to
Hmm.
bite to correct or get its way, and it's definitely going to happen again and maybe even get worse, then maybe I would lean a little that direction. Like, yeah, maybe you should rehome it because you aren't willing to deal with this and you don't have ways of preventing it. And like, you know,
Right.
watching. So, but I just don't agree with it as a whole. Like, it's your dog, it's your responsibility. You don't have they don't have opposable thumbs and use iPhones. They can't go find a new job and a new home on their own or live on their own. They need you. You're dedicated. You should be anyway to this dog to take care of it.
Hmm.
So you should stick with that. And
Well, if you're going to have any kind of pet, you need to make sure that I feel you should make sure you're dedicated to it. I mean, what's the point in having the animal if you're not going to care for it or, worry about its needs as well as
yeah,
your own?
get a stuffed animal, get a statue, get photos, but leave the actual dogs alone if that's your attitude. Um, But so there's certain situations I'll agree a little bit more with that sentiment, but I don't think it should be like what they say. It's like a monolithic bites a bite's a bite. It bit the kid. It gets out of here, and I think that's just a lazy, emotional, weak way to respond. It's
Mm-hmm.
chicken. It's cop out, and I don't like chickeny white weak people, and there's no excuse for that. But this man though wasn't like that. It was his initial response, which I don't
Mm-hmm.
judge people for their knee jerk responses. It's okay to
Right.
be upset because your kid got hurt and this dog is
Mm-hmm.
new here, and you see your kid bleeding and you don't know the situation. You just have this response, this reaction. But as a responsible, supposedly fully functional adult, you really should have very few of those knee jerk reactions. And when you have them, they should be internalized and not voiced out externally and, you know, in a temper tantrum kind of way, in my opinion. But to each their own, I guess. As long as you just let those moments pass and think later.
Right.
And he was. And, we're a product of how we were raised. And this guy probably learned that from his parents, that that's just what you do. And I'm there to re-educate people, not just judge them for their knee-jerk reactions.
Right.
So I try to just help them their way out of that, or at least facilitate getting the dog out of there. Because if a dog isn't wanted, that's just as bad as people's giving up on
Neglecting
them.
them. Yeah.
It is
I don't know.
neglect.
It
Yes.
sounds like everything worked out with that
Yeah.
particular case, though.
I was able to evaluate the dog, see his general attitude, test him with some things, poking ears, messing with him, teasing him. And we even brought my boy Kobun over and see how he responded to that. And he wasn't aggressive towards Kobun or anything like that. So I just think he was a sensitive dog that had some fear issues about what was going on. Because this neighborhood has a lot of gunshots and fireworks during certain times of the year. And that's really scary. I mean, that startles us as humans. It's terrifying for dogs.
Yeah.
But and that leads me to the other part of bites. Like, people think, oh well, you should watch your kids when they're around dogs. Well, unless you're a superhuman, and I think we talk about this in the fear episode too. Unless you're superhuman and a dog expert on top of it, you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to be able to read what the dog is about to do and then interfere with it fast enough to keep your kid safe. Keeping an eye on your kid with your dog isn't sufficient, especially if
Mm-hmm.
the dog has a history of bites or it could be nippy. The better option is to teach the dog, well, back off and go into another room and tell the kid to give the dog space too. Hey, don't antagonize the kid. And dog, if the kid is going to be annoying to you, your best option is to go into the space which we won't allow the kid to go into. You can go self-regulate and remove yourself from the situation. You don't have to stay here and get pissed off and nip the kid. We will support you and protect you from the kid and tell you where you can go to be safe. And keep them separate, and use muzzles if you need to practice. If you're like, I don't know how they respond with this kid in this situation, well, muzzle the dog and still prevent the kid from teasing or being too pushy. Read the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Too pushy or too, any of that is subjective to the dogs. Each dog will tell you what their threshold is, and there's also some things that are just generic no-nos. Like, kids shouldn't ride your dog like a horse. They shouldn't step on your dog like a step stool. They shouldn't hug the dog's face like an alien face hugger leash. There's certain things that just aren't great. Dogs should be able to tolerate a little bit of some of that here and there briefly, because kids are unpredictable just like the dogs are. But the dog
Mm-hmm.
should know you'll be there very in short order to stop it and to help them out from the kid. And yes, there's some dogs that shouldn't be around children at all, just because of their breed or their attitude towards
Right.
children or the way they think they should communicate with anyone that annoys them. And you have to work on both sides of that. Like, keep them away from the kid, if it's within reason, and or find them a new home if you have to. I'm not against people rehoming dogs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do have people contact me almost on a weekly basis. Oh, can you help me find this dog a new home? Because no rescue will take it. It was like, well, number one, vast majority of rescues don't take owner surrenders. They take from shelters. The dogs that are about to be put down, the dogs that really need them, dogs that are already vetted, dogs that are already
Mm-hmm.
evaluated, and then further evaluated by them. There's a lot less expense and time, and it's more urgent. So they're going to take from shelters. And
Mm-hmm.
They're not likely to take from you as a person. So it's your responsibility to keep everyone safe in the meantime while you search yourself for a new home, and be honest with the new home about what the dog has done in the past, what it might do in the future. Yeah, if the people are cool with that, then you move on to all the good things, because there's going to be always great things about your dog.
Right.
And then I always end with the same thing. Well, yes, they're all this great stuff, but remember, they've bitten kids or they've nipped people in the past. They might do it in the future, and as long as you're willing to deal with that or have an expert come in and help you with that, we are willing for you to sign a waiver, so we're not responsible, and you can take the dog. And if they don't bat an eye at that and they're ready for it, then that's probably the right home. And if they're scared off, so be it. And it takes a lot of bravery and determination to rehome a dog that has behavioral issues. And there's been times where I've had dogs surrender to me because I'll be like, okay, I'll find it a new home. And it usually takes me almost 2 years to find the right home, because people aren't coming to a behavior expert to find a dog to adopt. They're coming to me because they already have a dog with a behavior issue.
Right.
So I rely heavily on rescues courtesy posting on their website and or what is the pet finder
Yeah,
website.
I mean, I've seen some of your posts about it and whatnot,
Hmm.
so
And I use,
I
of
see
course,
it
my
on it fairly
platform.
regularly.
Yeah, we're not going to do that again if we can help it. It costs us too much. We literally, Trish and I have not been foster free for more than 6 months in our entire 12-year relationship. And we can't go on vacations. It costs us personally, financially. It costs us emotionally, and we're just getting too old for that. And we'd like to, you know, enjoy our own dogs who are aging. Every one of our dogs are seniors now. Elle, who is the youngest, turned 8 this year. Kobun just turned 10. Ori, who's right behind me. Where is you, Ori? Let me see. You got Ori, the greyhound. Wait, over here.
Oh,
Where you at, Ori? Here is Ori.
right there, just enjoying life.
He's being a greyhound, sleeping. Well, yeah, Ori there is 12. And then we have Tazzy, who's 15. Our pit bull, who is an adopted dog. She was rehomed to us also from a client that we used to walk her every day for like 11 years. And then her mom couldn't take care of her anymore.
Oh,
So we took her in because we didn't want her losing her home and her mom and then the people she knew as well. But yeah, so I think that covers that also, because I think that's one of the most important things people call me in for is kids getting nipped, getting into situations they shouldn't be. So, do you think of any other bites? Any other
no,
questions?
I mean, no. I think you covered quite a bit of it, and I mean, like you said at the end there, children being bit, I imagine would probably be the most common bite question that you would have, or bite evaluation, I guess would be another way to say it.
Yeah, it's children getting nipped for various reasons. Either they're invading dog space or scaring the dog or not taking cues, because kids don't even know about what a cue means. So everyone's innocent. Most dog bites, everyone involved is innocent. No one isn't going in intending to cause or harm to anyone else. It just happens. Miscommunications, misunderstandings, or lack of taking warnings. And that happens with adults too. There's a lot of people who are very oblivious to dog language, and well, they just snapped. They came out of nowhere and bit me. It's like, well, they were warning you the whole time. Like, it was wagging its tail. And I was like, well, tail wag isn't an automatic, like, purely friendly, do whatever you want to me sign. The muscle tension, the foot position, the ear position, the head position, the mouth being closed, all that is saying, don't touch me, I'm scared, or don't do that, I don't like it. And then the tail wag is a friendly sign saying, I don't want to hurt you. And the rest of the sign is saying, but. So, I don't want to hurt you, tail wag, but I don't want you to do that, or I'm scared, or I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And the people are like, oh, your tail is wagging, I can do whatever I want to you. And then now this dog just suddenly was from friendly to mean out of nowhere. It's like, can you understand what I'm saying to you about dog bites if you only listen to 3 words I put out? It's not possible. So listening to one part of that dog's body language sentence, which is just a waggy tail, is not sufficient to get the full message of what that dog's really trying to tell you. You only got the friendly part of, I don't want to, please don't mate me. And you missed all the rest of the, I will f you up if you do. She pushed me. Um, so yeah, those are types of bites that happen too.
Pardon me.
People miss a lot of cues, even if you're not a toddler.
Yeah.
Um,
The point is if you get bit, it can mean something entirely different, and you just need to take a minute and evaluate it and
think.
not jump to
Mm-hmm.
conclusions.
Don't have knee-jerk reactions. If you do, keep them to yourself. Calm down. Give the dog that same courtesy. Get a chance to rethink things. Get over their initial reaction, and know the vast majority of dog bites are not intended to cause harm. None are intended to be mean or vicious. That just doesn't exist in the dog world. It could be perceived
And
as such.
and if you have no idea what kind of bite it is, just call this guy and he'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, you call me at 937-245-0656 or text that number. You can email me at captainspish@gmail.com. You can go to my website. We'll leave some things in any links if we can in this experiment we're doing
Yeah.
here, the live stream. And Captain Spish Dog Behavior also celebrated as a business our 15th year on August 21st this year.
So
So,
obviously you're doing something right if you're still around for 15 years. I
yeah.
can't imagine you doing a terrible job and still being around for 15 years.
And then I did this kind of work going to strangers' homes and helping them with their behavior issues 15 years before that. So
Yeah, but we don't count
it became a business as Captain Spish Dog Behavior in
business.
2009 and August 21st. Yeah, so that's when I counted from. But
I
yeah,
mean,
so
congrats on that.
been around a long time. So I've seen a lot of different types of bites. I've
So,
been bitten
so
in a lot of
you
different ways.
you've been around how long in dog years?
Oh, jeez, I don't even know how to calculate that. 90 basically, 90 years. 15 is
So
85,
so
90 years old basically if you
so
translate it.
next year you could celebrate a dog century in business.
Yeah, I would say a dog is middle aged at about 7 to 8, basically, but the dog's size will dictate its expected life expectancy and how quickly it ages. So large breed dogs age much more rapidly at a younger age, and they don't live as long. So
Mm-hmm.
10 years is life expectancy, so 5 years would be middle aged. So senior would be 6. So, but bull terriers they live anywhere from 12 to 16 years. So Coben is a very spry senior at 10 years old, but we may only
He's
have
like that old
two.
woman running marathons.
Yeah, we may only have 6 months to 2 years left with him of healthy years. We could also have 5 years or even 6 if we're super lucky. But he has pretty bad arthritis, but we deal with it pretty well. He's still mobile. He's a very active 10-year-old, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's quite an accomplishment for us to keep him this mobile and this happy, and even at his advanced age. But he's a good boy. Anyhow, yeah, so if you need any help, reach out to Captain Spish Dog Behavior, and if you have any questions about dog bites, please comment below on this video. I'll be watching for comments, and we'll see if we can respond or make a whole video about any of your questions. But
Yeah.
anyway, this has been the Captain Spish Dog Behavior live stream podcast. I'm Captain Spish.
And I'm T.Tommy here as always.
Oh, you froze. And we'll see you next time.